I invite you to step into prayer with me. Yes, we are each a blessing, and coming together as community is indeed a blessing. We come together in wholeness, in connection, in love. Infinite presence is all there is. Divine mind, divine expression. I know the gifts of Source are right here, right now. In this infinite presence, there is wholeness, there is love, connection, and there is faith, inspiration, well-being, and so much more. And knowing it's all God, I am one with this infinite universe. This is the truth for each of us, living and breathing in this spirit of oneness. Each of us a divine spark of creation. Each of us is the wholeness that is our divine birthright, our truth. Each of us is the love that is declared in each breath. Each of us is the connection that holds the highest and best for each other. The faith, that sense of knowing that all is in divine order. Each of us is the well-being that fuels every cell in each of our bodies, fully present. The words spoken inspire. The music lifts spirit. And community connection is love made manifest. I accept all this bounty. The universe is infinite. Each of us plays a role as the extension of the divine that we are, coming to peace within and extending that peace to others. Each of us is a light to all. And each action glorifies infinite presence. I know the law is always at work, and in gratitude, I release this into the law. These seeds, these divine sparkles affirm sacredness. And together we say, and so it is. Let us rest in 2 minutes of silence.
This whole month, we're looking at the idea of higher, deeper love. The infinite is infinite, yes? Uh-huh. But it's expressing more and more and more fully. We live in a universe that is expanding. You know that? Every single aspect in every single direction. I once heard it described as it's like a loaf of raisin bread rising, and not only is the bread rising, but the raisins themselves are expanding. Okay, so you and I are part of this expanding universe, which means, guess what? We're raisins. We're expanding, yes. Some of us are expanding in some ways, and others are expanding. But we're really here to expand in our expression of the divine. That's what we're really here to do. Because the nature of the divine is love. And so when we ask the question, which is today's talk title, of what's love got to do with it, the answer is? Everything. Yes. God is love, and since God is all there is, then everything is love, yes? And so we sometimes have a mistaken idea of what love is. The talk title comes from a famous song by Tina Turner, yes? What's love got to do with it? And I believe the next line in the song, somewhere right after that, is what's love but a second-hand emotion, right? But that's not what we mean by love. That's not what we're talking about today. And so what we're talking about today, Ernest Holmes says love is the self-givingness of the Spirit through the desire of life to express itself in creation. The self-givingness of the Spirit. The Spirit is always giving. Jesus said the rain falls over the heads of the just and the unjust alike. Or in their passage was the sun shines over the heads of the just and the unjust alike. In other words, it doesn't give a hoot whether you're a good person or a bad person. It's just loving. Yes? God doesn't judge. God doesn't even see anything to judge. God is just expressing love. Right? Yes? And Ernest says elsewhere, love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. Love is the central core of all of this. Nudge your neighbor and say, you are an expression of love. It's at your core. And so he also says love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. And as another song says, love is what we came here for. Love is what we came here for. So since God is all that there is, and God is love, we are love. You know, I've oftentimes shared with you a quote from Emily Cady, Unity writer in the early part of the last century, who said, God is not a being that is loving, God is love itself. God is love itself. You are not a being that is loving, you are love itself. Breathe that in for a moment. Let yourself be aware you are love itself. Whether you know it or not, whether you remember it or not, you still are. Our highest purpose is to let that love flow through us, to let it flow through us, in a flow of giving and receiving, in a flow of experiencing and expressing. That's what we're here for, is that love, to experience and express that love. Bell Hooks, who's the author of the book that we're reading this month, I know you're all following along in this book, says, to begin by always thinking of love as an action rather than a feeling is one way in which anyone using the word in this manner automatically assumes accountability and responsibility. So we are accountable for love, and we are responsible to express and experience the love that we are, yes? Okay? Nobody else can do it for us. So we get into the idea of like, and mistake that for love. And that like is a feeling, right? I like this person, I don't like this person. That's a feeling. I like this flavor of ice cream, I don't like that flavor of ice cream. Yesterday, a wonderful friend came over and said, I have a wonderful gift for you, a bag of cherries that I just picked up at the market. I don't like cherries. But I accepted the love because that was the intention behind it. So like is a feeling, love is our being, our beingness, who we are. When we are at our most divine, this is easy to allow this love to flow, yes? When we're centered, when we're feeling whole, when we're feeling good, our willingness and our ability to let love flow through us is what we are accountable and responsible for. Because see, only we can block that flow through us, yes? Other people can do stuff, right? But only we decide, I'm going to stop loving that person because of their stuff that they do. They don't make us stop. We choose to stop or block that flow. So it's what we're accountable and responsible for us to stay open in love rather than closed in fear. Love opens and expands. Fear contracts and constricts. Yes? Jeremy brought a quote to the Finance Committee this past Tuesday. Was a quote from Jack and Cornelia Addington's book on prosperity. And the quote was that anything that involves fear will keep us from prospering. Anything that involves fear will keep us from prospering. And prospering in this way is not just money. Prospering in this way is being fully alive, being able to express the fullness of who we are. That's what true prosperity is. So fear is always based on a belief in separation. I am separate from you, I am separate from that, and therefore it scares me. Yes? When I'm feeling separate from somebody else, they scare me. When I'm recognizing my oneness with somebody else, we're just love. Fear shows up as judgment, criticism, exclusion, etc. It shows up as one of my favorite things, transactional relationships. I will love you, give you some love if you will give me love, if you will do what I want you to do. If you will make me happy, I'll be kind to you. That's a transaction. That's not a real expression of love. Love is I will love you whether you've just ticked me off or not. I may not like it, and there may be some things I have to do about that, we have to do about that, and I will still love you and hold you in love. So our conditioned beliefs set us up for right, wrong judgments, and only love, real, active, deep, powerful love can free us. And here's the good, bad news. We can't do this from our ego. We can't figure out how to allow love to move through us. There's a physicist whose name escapes me at the moment who says that not only is the universe stranger than we think it is stranger than we can think it is. So not only is God as love greater than we think it is, God as love is greater than we can think it is. But we can experience it, but it's not through thinking it. And so we have to turn within and ask that infinite presence within us, that high self within us, to show us how to love, oftentimes in certain situations. I can't figure this out. I don't know how to do it. Show me how to love. And when we do, oftentimes the first thing that shows up is everything unlike it. Yes? Is a greater awareness of all the ways we don't love. It is so fun to experience all of those. I got to dance with that this week. Yes, mostly rolled and got hit by rocks. But anyways, so we must first learn to love and have compassion for ourselves. Let's first learn to love and have compassion for ourselves. Because when we notice all the ways that we're not as loving as we ideally believe we are, and if you're like me, and I know you are, you're not as loving, I'm not as loving as we'd like to believe we are sometimes, yes? We all have that. Hello, welcome to human. And so we learn to have compassion for ourselves. We learn to love ourselves in that process. And from there, we can practice love for others and compassion for others because we recognize that same quality in another. They may be doing it differently, but it's still the same thing. I think it's the Course in Miracles that says that everything in life is either an expression of love or a cry for love. Everything in life is either an expression of love or a cry for love. It's the central flame of the universe. We are all one. We are all learning to open to love more fully. So we're going to have a little discussion, a little conversation like we've done last month. And so we have two questions for you to consider. And Sam's going to put them up on the board. And the first one is, where am I willing to love more fully this week? Where am I willing to love more fully this week? Sometimes it helps to have an area, say, you know, I can't tackle the whole of my life, but here's an area where I'm feeling maybe a little stuck, and I'm willing to expand it. And by the way, where am I willing to love more fully this week is not, like in my case, I'm willing this week to love more fully chocolate. That's easy for me, right? It's to love more fully where it's not easy for me. Maybe I'll try cherry. Okay? And then secondly, what gets in the way, and how can I remind myself to practice love instead of judgment and fear? Where am I being called to love a little bit more this week? And what gets in the way? And how can I remind myself to get out of my way? So I invite you to kind of form some little groups of 5 or 6 and have a conversation. And we'll take about 7 or 8 minutes of that, and then we'll share out. To a close, and if somebody would like to share out from each group. Miss Almost Reverend Buffy will be doing that.
Are you all ready to listen to each of us as we share out? Our group, we started with the second question because we felt like that was an important. I don't want to talk about what gets in the way. Where am I willing to love more fully this week when I can't think about, it's the first one that's dependent on the second one, if that makes any sense. No, I've forgotten. Everything else we agreed on. Being gentle with ourselves. So the place I am willing to love more fully this week is with myself when I'm not doing it exactly the way I think I should. So it's being gentle, saying, come back. Remember, we're learning how to be loving and caring. And then noticing where in the body these feelings might be living, and if they're feelings of fear or wherever, it's also loving yourself enough to forgive yourself that, oh gosh, you're not perfect. You're learning to love more fully now, and that may be an ongoing exercise.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. This group?
Sure.
Kent?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Hi. So our group started with the first question, and we
You did it right. I love you better.
we talked about how in our day-to-day lives we encounter circumstances, losses, meetings, very frustrating people that present us with opportunities. And although they might not be perfect, we can take refuge in the idea that they are the perfect expression of themselves, even if I disagree with it. And we talked about slowing down, taking a breath, being conscious of prioritizing love. To get to, we're on to question 2 now, by the way. And we also talked about mustering a feeling of lovingness through a memory or a connection you share with someone, and then allowing that feeling to become you, and then weaving that feeling into your practice. So you don't have to think about it, you just become it. And it skips the prefrontal cortex, and then you can just send that out into the world.
Beautiful. Thank you. This group? Huh? You don't have to. Okay. This group? All right, Gail. Love those shoes.
I think the main thing that the group came up with is slowing down and just stepping back and taking a breath of air, going, the correct answer and reaction is coming at that point. You don't do it. And the other part is just to accept what it is and love yourself as well.
Beautiful. Thank you.
A theme that came up in our group was dealing with family members who we have challenging situations with, and to love them unconditionally regardless of that. And that was a practice we talked about.
Great. Thank you. Linda? So this week our spiritual practice is twofold. The first one is to ask within to be shown how to let love flow through you more fully. And that might look like sitting down in meditation and calmly, quietly asking that infinite presence within you, show me how to love more fully. It might be situation specific, or it might be just overall. You know, when I'm in this situation, show me how to love more fully, how to open my heart more fully. Right? And the second one is to commit to one area that you know is difficult. Got that part? Where you know that is difficult, where you will choose love this week, right? So not the person that's easiest to love, but somebody that's a little bit of a challenge. Because that's how we grow, that's how we expand, that's where we encounter our stuff that's in the way of that. So are you willing to play with those practices this week? Yes? Yay. And breathe through them. And I love Ken's suggestion of, and I love that in one of the Harry Potter movies, there's the episode where they're facing a boggart, and the idea to face that is to develop a feeling, a powerful feeling when you felt good. To develop a powerful feeling when you felt good, and from that feeling, deal with a boggart is the fear, symbolizes the fear that we have. And so what is a fear that I have? What is a feeling that I have that is really good that I can embody and tap into whenever I need to? So that's another process. And like Ken said, it bypasses the frontal lobe. So we're not trying to figure it out in the moment. So a quote from Ernest from his 1956 talk, one of his talks at Asilomar. He says, we are falling into a deep reverie of universal love. Imagine that for a moment. We're all just falling into a deep reverie of universal love. Then I love this line. You'll love this line. You know there is no person whom we could hate if we loved him. You know there is no person we could hate if we could love him. It is a terrible thing to feel disunited with life and the world and each other, because this is to us a reflection of our own soul. This is to us this vast panoramic picture mirror. When I'm feeling separate from you, I'm feeling separate from me. Because we're all one, yes? Excuse me. Many of you are familiar with the phrase, you know, if you've got a finger pointing out at somebody, I've got 3 more pointing back at me. So the thing that disturbs me in this other person is something that disturbs me within myself, a shadow that I haven't faced yet. Then he goes on to say, we cannot help but be filled with love. It is true that love is the lodestone of life, and as Ella Wheeler Wilcox said, a love so limitless, deep, and broad that men have renamed it and called it God. And so that is what we're being called to embody this week. So we have an affirmation. Join me in this. The infinite love of the universe fills me, overflowing and splashing into every area of my life now. I kind of like the summer theme of that overflowing and splashing, yes? Okay? So the infinite love of the universe fills me, overflowing and splashing into every area of my life now. So let's take a moment to pray. There is only one infinite presence. We know this. Behind everything else, whatever name we give it, there's only one, and its nature is love. Every spiritual teacher that is throughout the history, throughout all the denominations, all the origins, says the same thing. There is this presence that is pure, unfiltered love. And because that presence is all that there is, each of us is already and always one of that infinite presence of love. We are love being embodied. And so I speak my word that this week each of us feels that more deeply, acts upon that more fully, allows that love to flow through, to splash, to have its way with us, playfully, joyously. We say yes to love. And I'm so grateful that each of us is willing to do this to whatever degree we are. We say yes to love. And as we release that word into a law, the law simply responds by saying yes. And so it is.